Have you ever stared at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, completely paralyzed by your own thoughts, feeling trapped by your own mind? You promise yourself that tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow you won't give in to the distractions, the fear, the endless loop of negative self-talk. But by the evening, you find yourself right back where you started, feeling exhausted, defeated, and wondering, why can't I just change? Stay with me, because what we are going to explore in this explainer isn't about your lack of willpower. It's not a character flaw. It is a biological secret that could literally change the trajectory of your entire life. Welcome to our journey into the biology of change. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating science behind why we get stuck in our darkest habits and exactly how you can take absolute control of your neural pathways to change them forever. Our sources highlight a powerful, profound quote that perfectly sets the stage for our journey today. You don't need a new year. You need a new mind. Think about how many times you've waited for an arbitrary calendar date to finally start being the person you want to be. We tell ourselves, I'll start on January 1st, I'll start on my birthday, I'll start on Monday. But Monday comes and Monday goes, and the struggle remains exactly the same. That is because building a new version of yourself has absolutely nothing to do with flipping a page on a calendar. It is about physical, biological rewiring. The truth is, the transformation you are seeking doesn't require a new year, it requires a new biological architecture. Every single time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you choose laser focus over cheap distraction, you are not just making a choice. You are literally physically reshaping the very structure of your brain. But to understand how to build that new mind, we first have to uncover why the old one fights us so hard. Stay with me, because the next part could change your perspective forever. I want you to ask yourself a very honest question right now. Do you feel like bad memories, harsh criticisms, and your own mistakes stick to you instantly, while compliments, victories, and good memories just slide right off? Like your brain is Velcro for negativity and Teflon for positivity? Imagine receiving 100 glowing compliments on your work, but there is just one tiny, cynical piece of criticism. What keeps you awake at night? It's that one piece of criticism. It echoes in your mind, growing louder and heavier. If you have ever felt this agonizing weight, I want you to take a deep breath and listen closely. You are experiencing a biological default, not a personal failing. Our ancestors survived because they remembered where the tiger was, not where the beautiful sunset was. Your brain has evolved over thousands of years to prioritize threats just to keep you alive. But here is the beautiful truth we're going to uncover. You do not have to stay a prisoner to that primitive default mode. Section 1. Stuck in a loop. Let's look closely at why we feel so hopelessly trapped in cycles of negative self-talk, distraction, and those exhausting daily routines. This right here represents a massive, life-altering paradigm shift. Society has lied to us. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that our brains are completely hardwired by the time we reach adulthood. We look at our destructive habits, our fears, our anxieties, and we tell ourselves the most dangerous lie in human history. This is just the way I am. We accept these invisible chains, trapping ourselves in what we call the loop, a prison of old habits built by blind repetition. We walk in circles, expecting a new destination. But the reality is far more inspiring. Your brain is not concrete, it is clay. It is actually soft-wired. You aren't doomed to wander in that loop forever. With conscious, intentional rewiring, you are capable of upward growth. You can elevate into the spiral, moving higher and growing stronger every single time you choose to react to the same old triggers. What's truly fascinating is what is happening beneath the surface, deep in the dark corners of your biology when you feel stuck. Often, it's a tiny almond-shaped structure in your brain called the amygdala, your emotional alarm system, completely overreacting. Have you ever received a simple, slightly vague email from a boss or a friend, and suddenly your chest tightens, your heart races, and you assume your entire life is falling apart? For many people, this triggers rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Your brain literally registers an intense physical threat from other people's opinions or even your own internal dialogue. It creates a self-perpetuating toxic cycle. Your system gets flooded with stress hormones like cortisol, making you defensive, exhausted, and desperate to withdraw from the world. It's a biological hijacking, but the biggest lesson is yet to come. Section 2, the science of neuroplasticity. If a lack of willpower isn't what's keeping us stuck in that high-stress loop, what exactly is the biological solution? The answer lies in one of the most magnificent discoveries in the history of science, neuroplasticity. For generations, scientists believed your brain was a static, unchangeable machine once you reached a certain age. But the discovery of neuroplasticity completely shattered that myth. It is incredibly empowering because it proves, definitively, that your brain physically changes its structure when you think or do something repeatedly. It's like a dense forest. If you walk the same path every day, you trample the grass, you move the branches, and a clear, easy trail forms. New connections form between neurons, existing ones become unbreakable steel cables, and the weak, unused pathways simply fade away into the underbrush. You are not a finished product. You are an ongoing masterpiece, and you are actively reshaping your neural architecture right now, just by choosing to take in this information. But if change is possible, why does it hurt so much to try? To change, we need to know exactly what we're up against. Enter the basal ganglia. This is the central command center for storing your habitual behaviors. Here is a surprising, slightly frustrating fact. Your brain is incredibly lazy. It is an energy-saving machine. When you learn something new, like driving a car for the very first time, your conscious prefrontal cortex is highly active. You are hyper-aware, sweating every turn. But once that behavior is learned, the basal ganglia takes over so your conscious brain can clock out. You start driving home on autopilot, not even remembering the journey. That is exactly why your old, toxic habits feel so incredibly hard to break. They literally require less brain power to execute. Your brain is trying to save energy, even if it means destroying your future in the process. Section 3. The neural habit loop. To change those automatic, low-energy behaviors that are holding us back, we have to understand the specific circuit they run on. Extensive research from MIT shows that every single habit you have operates on this exact three-step loop. Think about the habits you hate the most. First, there's a cue that triggers the brain. Maybe it's the feeling of stress after a long day of work. Second, the routine. You collapse on the couch and endlessly scroll through social media, numbing your mind. And third, the reward. A hollow, artificial hit of dopamine that tricks your brain into thinking you've done something good. The cycle locks in, over and over again. To modify a habit, we cannot just rely on temporary motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings fade. We have to become scientists of our own lives. We have to intentionally, ruthlessly intercept these specific neural circuits before they run their course. So what is the most powerful tool we have to intercept those circuits? Dr. Shad Helmstedter's groundbreaking research reveals that our brains operate exactly like advanced biocomputers. And here is the terrifying, beautiful truth. Your brain doesn't evaluate whether a thought is factually true or false. It has no filter. It simply accepts whatever programming you feed it. If you look in the mirror every morning and feed it harsh criticism, telling yourself you're not smart enough, not strong enough, not worthy, you are physically strengthening those exact negative pathways. You are writing a tragedy into your own hardware. But if you interrupt that script, if you forcefully feed it neutral or positive self-talk, you literally rewrite the underlying code governing your emotions. You become the master programmer of your own destiny, stopping the negative feedback loop right at the source. What happened next in the research completely changed everything about how we approach growth. Section 4, the feed framework. Let's move from theory to reality. Let's look at exactly how to implement this neuroplasticity in the trenches of your daily life. In his phenomenal book, Rewire Your Mind, Dr. John B. Arden provides a highly actionable framework that takes this science out of the lab and puts it directly into your hands. He makes a profound observation. Personal growth isn't about nature versus nurture. It is about intentionally nurturing your nature. His method strips away the fluff and gives us a concrete battle plan to actively build those positive, powerful new neural connections we've been talking about, allowing us to sculpt the minds we need to achieve our ultimate goals. This is his legendary feed method, FEED, the blueprint for your biological transformation. First, focus. You must pay deep, undivided attention to the new behavior you want to create. Second, effort. And I want to pause here. You have to activate your brain consciously, forcefully shifting control away from the lazy basal ganglia back to your prefrontal cortex. This is going to feel hard at first. It will feel uncomfortable. But that pain, that friction, is quite literally the feeling of weakness leaving your brain. It is the sensation of new neural pathways being born. Most people quit during this phase because it's hard. But you won't, because of the third step, effortlessness. With relentless repetition, those synapses strengthen until the new action becomes entirely automatic, shifting back into the basal ganglia as your new default. And finally, determination, the unyielding grit to stay committed through the practice. You endure the high initial effort, knowing it will eventually yield a completely effortless, powerful new habit. Section 5, Strategies to Rewire. Alongside the feed method, our sources highlight several other science-backed strategies you can deploy to start physically reshaping your brain today. If you constantly struggle with focus and feel overwhelmed by the chaos of modern life, this 3-step neuroscience protocol is phenomenal because it biologically aligns with how your brain was designed to function. First, you must calm the storm. You quiet your amygdala to lower those toxic cortisol levels through intentional deep breathing or simply walking outside in nature. Second, you perform a dopamine reset. We live in a world that constantly hijacks our attention. By limiting those constant buzzing digital notifications, you stop depleting your natural drive and motivation. You take your power back from the screen. Third, you create an anchor point. This is a small, sacred ritual, like listening to a specific song or doing a brief physical stretch that acts as a neurological trigger, signaling your executive function to kick in. You stop fighting against the current of your brain and you start flowing with its biology. Another incredibly powerful tool explored in our explainer is metta, or loving kindness meditation. Now, sometimes people hear it loving kindness and they think it sounds soft or weak. Let me tell you, from a biological standpoint, there is absolutely nothing soft about it. It is armor for your mind. Rigorous studies show that deliberately sending compassionate feelings to yourself and others floods your system with oxytocin. More importantly, it physically increases gray matter density in your prefrontal cortex, specifically the anterior cingulate cortex. By practicing this, you are literally adding armor to the part of your brain responsible for emotional regulation, empathy, and impulse control. For anyone fighting through a storm of heavy mental noise, anxiety, or ADHD, this is a biological shield. And here we have your daily neuroplasticity toolkit. These aren't just trendy self-help tips, they are proven biological interventions. Mindfulness practice has been shown on brain scans to physically shrink the size of a reactive amygdala. You literally shrink your fear center. Cognitive behavioral therapy structurally alters frontal brain activity to vastly improve your problem-solving under stress. Physical exercise is absolutely incredible. When you push your body, your brain releases BDNF, a miraculous protein that acts exactly like fertilizer, stimulating the growth of brand new brain cells. And gratitude journaling physically activates your brain's deep reward centers, releasing natural floods of dopamine and serotonin. You don't just feel better, you are physically building a better machine. If you take away just one single concept from everything we've explored today, let it be this immutable, fundamental law of neuroscience. Neurons that fire together, wire together. This is the ultimate battleground of your life. The more you repeat a thought, a feeling, or an action, the stronger, thicker, and faster that physical brain pathway becomes. If you constantly choose worry, doubt, and fear, you will become a master at anxiety. You will build a superhighway of panic. But if you force yourself to practice gratitude, if you fight for focus, if you demand discipline from yourself daily, you slowly but surely dismantle those old roads and you build an indestructible superhighway for peace, power, and monumental success. The choice is made every single day. You are not stuck. You have never been stuck. You possess the incredible biological power to reshape your mind from the inside out. Your brain is listening to you right now, in this very second, waiting for your instructions. So I will leave you with this final defining question. What is the very first new track you are going to lay down in your neural architecture today? What new story begins right now? If today's story touched your heart and inspired you to become a better version of yourself, then become a part of the Voice of Victory family by subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who truly needs this message today. Remember, your voice of victory begins the moment you refuse to give up. I'll see you in the next inspiring journey, only on Voice of Victory.